Hello there, good afternoon. Prynhawn da I chi. Croeso cynnes i'r gweithdy yma. Very warm welcome to this Welsh cooking workshop with me, Sian Roberts. So yes, I'm going to be making some Glamorgan sausages, which is traditional Welsh recipe. I'm also going to be making a Celeriac salad and show you how to make a quick dressing. So it's absolutely perfect for the kind of weather we're having in Cardiff. So I'm here in Cardiff, just outside a place called Groesfine. I'm not sure where you are, but thank you very much for joining us. I hope you're having nice weather where you are too as well. Gobeithio bod yr haul yn gwenu lle I chi. We've been so lucky with the weather recently. Okay, so first of all, we're going to start with Glamorgan sausages. And I'm just going to bring the camera forward so you actually can concentrate on what I'm doing. I'm not sure if any of you are cooking along with me. I'll check the comments to see if anybody's got any questions. Feel free to ask any questions. Don't make them too difficult. But yeah, so off we go. As I said, Glamorgan sausage to start. Then I'm going to make a quick dressing and we're going to make a celeriac salad. Okay, so I'm just going to move the camera down to here. You should be able to see that perfectly. Okay, so what we've got, first of all, the main ingredient. There are two main ingredients, breadcrumbs, and then some grated cheese. What I've got here, I've got some breadcrumbs, and what you need to do is just take maybe 2 spoonfuls out to keep to one side, maybe 2.5, because we're going to keep those to actually coat the Glamorgan sausages. I'm going to move this out of the way for a minute, and I'm going to start grating my cheese. So we have some amazing cheese in Wales. We have about 100 different kinds. And I've actually got a bit of cheddar and I had a little bit of manchego left as well. I'm just going to check that there's no comments about the camera that you can all see. Where are we here? Okay, so we're going to go back here. I think everything is fine. You can see what's happening. Right, okay, so I'm going to start grating the cheese. As I said, I've got a little bit of cheddar, Welsh cheddar. I've actually got some manchego, which is Spanish, obviously. But what I love about this recipe is that it's perfect for leftovers. So basically, if you've got any bread that's, going off a little bit, obviously not too much, you can then I whack it in the food mixer and then I put it in the freezer until I want to make Glamorgan sausages. And then if you've got any bits of cheese left like this here, I've got a little bit of manchego, a little bit of cheddar, then you can use whatever cheese you like. So traditionally, the cheese that was used is called Glamorgan cheese. And I'm just going to put this in with the breadcrumbs. So grated cheese goes in here and in there. And I'm going to put the veg in. So yes, so what I've got is I couldn't get a leek today. Can you believe it? Here in Wales, I could not get a leek. So I'm going to use some spring onions instead. I've already prepared them. So I take off the kind of slimy bit. Then I'm just going to chop them up very finely. I actually quite like a lot of greenery in this recipe. It's totally up to you. It's a savoury recipe. So I'm just going to finish this. Oh, they're going all over the place. Chop them up very finely. So with a savoury recipe, you don't have to be spot on. With a sweet one, you do because of cakes rising, etc. So with this one, I tend to be very generous with the parsley, the leek or the spring onions, the carrot, and a little bit less cheese. But my son, when he makes it, puts loads of cheese in. So you can vary the recipe according to your taste, really. So there we are. We've got the spring onions. Chopping these really finely because I'm going to make quite small sausages. Then I'm going to get some parsley. Put that to one side. So with the parsley, I've washed the parsley. Then I'm going to take off the leaves. And I don't throw the stalks away. What I do is I collect them in the freezer. And when I'm making stock, I then just chuck the stalks in. And it really helps with the flavour. And it means you're not wasting anything. As I said, this is a great recipe for leftovers. So everything gets used, which is fab. I made a vegetable stock the other day and I had loads of stalks and it really was, the taste was amazing. Okay, so I'm also got quite a bit of parsley here. I'm going to chop this up very finely. Just get rid of the stalks here. And this gives a lovely green colour to the sausages. So as I was saying, so traditionally, Glamorgan sausages were made with Glamorgan cheese. So there was a breed of cattle in the Vale of Glamorgan, and the milk was excellent for cheese. So there was a cheese called Glamorgan cheese. Sadly, it doesn't exist anymore because the breed has actually, nearly disappeared. There's one they're trying to kind of get the breed going again down in Margam Park. But yeah, for now, you can't get Glamorgan cheese. It was quite similar to Caerphilly cheese, which is quite a soft. And I have to say, I find Caerphilly cheese a little bit bland. If you tried the mature one, it's much stronger. I think you should use a really strong cheese for this recipe to get a bit of oomph really. So the cheeses I used was a cheddar, manchego, both strong cheeses. And the cheese I would normally use is a Welsh cheddar such as Collier's, Black Bomber. We have so many to choose. We have 100 different cheeses in Wales, so plenty of choice. I'm going to have a little bit more parsley, I think, because I say could never have enough parsley. My mother used to be a great cook. She used to put lemon and parsley in everything. And I used to work on a barge in France where we used to take tourists from Paris down to Champagne on a luxury barge. And we had an American chef. And my mother kept saying, "Do you want to put some lemon and parsley in that recipe, Mark?" And he's like, "If your mother tells me one more time about her lemon and parsley, I'm going to go mad." Okay, so this is my mum. The parsley is going to go back in here. And the spring onion. And lovely colour. And then I've got half a carrot. I've got quite a big carrot, so I'm just going to put half a carrot in. And this was my way of sneaking veg into dishes for my two boys. They weren't big vegetable lovers, so by putting in the leeks or the spring onions and whatever, that was a good way of getting some vegetables into their food. So this is just going to go compost somewhere. Yeah. So I'm going to grate the carrots. So again, this adds a nice bit of colour to the recipe. And finally, last but not least, I've got some fresh thyme from the garden. So they're tiny. They're tiny at the moment. They haven't grown very much, but they still smell delicious. I'm just getting the flowers off. I'm hoping it'll grow a bit more during the summer. But the smell is amazing. So a little bit of fresh thyme, or you can use dry thyme. But with fresh, you don't really need very much because it's quite a strong herb, or as the Americans would say, herb. Mark the chef and I used to have big arguments about herbs. Okay, so this is going to go in the bowl. I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper. Be careful, I've got one side which comes out quite slowly, and the other which comes out quite a lot, as you can see. Actually, it wasn't too bad. Okay, I'm just going to check whether we have any comments yet. Bear with me. Where are we? Okay, I've got good afternoon from Irene. Good afternoon. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. So here we are. So I'm going to mix all this together. So you've got the breadcrumbs, the cheese, the carrots, parsley, the spring onion. As you can see, lovely colour. And then what you need to do is you have an egg. So you crack the egg. Let's just move this out of the way for a sec. Crack the egg. And then I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of mustard. Now, we do have lots of mustard in Wales. Honey mustards are particularly nice. This is actually a French Dijon one because I have some in the kitchen. Whisk this together. And then you take 1 or 2 teaspoons to one side because we're going to use that to coat. And then the rest goes in here. And we're going to bind this all together. So I'm just checking I've got everything. So the breadcrumbs have gone in, the cheese, the spring onion or the leek, parsley, thyme, 1 egg, and the Welsh mustard. There we are. So basically, bring that, mix it all together. Make sure you use all of that. I'm actually just going to go to the counter a quick wipe. When I was in school, we were always told to keep our work surfaces very tidy. So that's there. And then what I'm going to do then is, just bear with me for 1 second. I'm going to use my hand to bring this together. So I'm going to make it into a dough. Well, bring it together into a ball, basically. And that's what the egg is doing. It's binding it all together. That's why we need to chop them quite finely, because we're going to make quite small sausages. There we are. If you haven't got enough liquid, you can add some milk, but this is doing okay. So there, I'm going to bring it together. Make sure you use all of the ingredients. Yeah. Okay. That's there. I'm going to put it on here. And what I'm going to do then is, with a knife, I'm going to squash it out with my hands, first of all, into an oblong shape. And then slice it into individual slices like that. Right. Just see how we're doing. Just going to clear this away. Plate here. Okay. See if anyone's got any comments as yet. Oh, Barbara joined us saying, joined late but looking good. Okay, thank you very much. Oh, my husband's going to get up. So basically what I'm going to do now is, when you get the one, so one of the, down again. So I've got I'm squeezing with my hand, squeezing them into sausage shapes. So I'm going to roll it like that. So you've got the sausage shape here. I'm going to put it there, put it onto a plate. So I'm going to make about 5 or 6 here, all different shapes and sizes. This is definitely not MasterChef. That's actually quite big, so I'm going to take a little bit off there. I know in MasterChef that you'd weigh them, but we're not going to do that today. So you just roll them into little sausages like that. This one here looks quite good. Quite a mucky job. Kids like it because look, your fingers nice and messy. So there we are. This one here, take a bit of that one here. And you're just rolling them into, the smell is lovely. I can smell the parsley and the thyme, which is really nice. This one here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to coat them in breadcrumbs and egg. Actually, I'm too small one of these, I think. And then I'm going to put them in the fridge to chill just a little bit, because they tend to keep their shape a bit better if you chill them. So, right, so we've got our sausages here. And then we've got the eggs and the breadcrumbs. And we're going to dip, so you use one hand for the egg, dip it in the egg, and then you use the other hand to cover it with the breadcrumbs. There we are. Dip it in here. So I do a project where we go into schools in Swansea Bay, to get children to know more about fish. And I take some fish, I take sea bass, mackerel, plaice, crab, you name it, and they get to hold the fish, they get to feel the fish, and they love it. They get to kiss the fish. A lot of them like kissing the fish. And then we cook, and we make some mackerel pate, and then we make some fish fingers. Basically, we have a little bit of plaice, and then they have to dip the bits of plaice into flour, egg, and we do crushed cornflakes, and they're very funny because some of them find the whole thing a little bit too untidy. So I actually haven't got quite enough breadcrumbs, but what I do use when we do this with the school is I do crushed cornflakes, which works quite nicely as well because it gives that extra crunch. So I've got some crushed cornflakes here. I've got some ready made, as they used to do on Blue Peter. Here's some I prepared earlier, but this is quite a nice, slightly different taste, really. The breadcrumbs are fantastic, but this is also just a little bit more crunchy. So you coat them in that. And the last one, if you run out of the egg mixture, you can just put a little bit more milk in. As I say, if you need some more breadcrumbs, I always keep some in the fridge, the freezer, so that I've got plenty for making this kind of thing. So you cover those with that. There we are. Okay, I'm going to just show you the end product, which is here. So there we've got the Glamorgan sausages, and they're going to go in the fridge while I make the celeriac salad. And I'm just cleaning up as we go along. My cookery teacher will be very pleased. And, okay, so okay, good. So Kay is looking forward to making them, which is brilliant. I want to be in the center a bit more, so here I am. Okay, so these are going to go in the fridge. Because as I said, when you put them in the fridge to chill, they actually keep their shape a bit better when you get to cook them. And now we're going to make a celeriac salad. I tried to, in the cooking workshops that we do, or whatever, to introduce people to maybe ingredients that they wouldn't normally use. But the first thing we need to do is to make a quick dressing. And this is to show you how incredibly easy it is to make a very nice dressing, because we're going to use this for the celeriac salad. Okay, I'm going to put the camera back down. So what you need is, you need some mustard. I'm going to put in about a teaspoon of mustard. You can use, I've got the Dijon mustard again here, but you can use French mustard, you can use Welsh mustard, any kind of mustard with a bit of a kick. Be very careful with this salt container. And you put a teaspoon of salt in. Be careful. Yeah, should be right. A teaspoon of salt. And then I'm going to put some black pepper in. Okay, then I've got some cider vinegar. So you put about a third of cider vinegar in. And 2/3 of olive oil. You can use rapeseed oil. And then, this is where you have to be quite careful, because we're going to shake it. And that's it. So you can have this. You don't need to put it in the fridge, but I love making salads, and a salad without a dressing is really sad. So if you're making it, for lunch, for example, I had some tomatoes, some lettuce, some cucumber today. Some avocado, put some dressing on. I also added some chopped nuts. So it's a lovely thing to kind of help you with making your salads a bit more exciting. Okay, so I'm just going to get myself ready for the salad. Okay. So I've actually cut it in half already, but this is the celeriac. Okay, so this is the main ingredient. And as I said, I like to kind of use ingredients that people maybe are not that familiar with. And celeriac is a really versatile ingredient. If you watch MasterChef, you'll know they use it all the time. But for a salad, basically I'm making a coleslaw, but using celeriac instead. Because I prefer the taste. So we're gonna take the skin off. Let's put the camera up a little bit. Slice it in half. And it is quite tough. Yes, you're gonna take the outer skin off. And then we're going to grate it. So on MasterChef, they're always making celeriac mash, which is delicious, but it's really nice raw as well. Take that. Just basically get rid of all the kind of brown bits. And when you do grate it, you've got to be careful because it does kind of browns quite easily. So you need to put it in lemon juice. Let's do this again. So I've got huge celeriac, so I will make coleslaw with this. I will also make some celeriac puree, which is lovely. But interestingly, there is a recipe for celeriac cake, which was absolutely stunning. So yeah, it's a really versatile ingredient. They eat it a lot in France. They kind of serve it just with mayonnaise and dressing. But as I said, it's well, I hope you'll agree, it's fabulous in this very kind of summer recipe. Okay, so that's taking the skin off. Grate it. I have my lemon ready to put onto it to keep it from browning. So I've got my lemon juice here. And I'm going to grate this now and then put it into a bowl. Don't need to go to the gym if you're doing this. Yeah. So there we are. I'm going to put this there. And you can see you get loads out of the celeriac. So I'm just going to do the 2 halves, the 2 quarters. That's going to go over here. Second one. I'm spraying celeriac all over my laptop. Should have a guard, really. Be nice to have an assistant, really, wouldn't it? I used to work in television, and television programs, you would have a researcher and somebody on hand and an assistant, and but things have changed. I did a cookery series recently, and basically I had to do the whole thing myself. It was filmed in my kitchen. I did have an assistant to help with the dishes because we were making the programs in incredibly quick time. But yeah, bring back assistants, I say. Okay, so just gonna grate this. So what I'll do is, because I've taken the skin off the celeriac, I will just put it in some water and boil it, put it in slices, and then it'll be ready to make the puree later on. Okay, so that's so you get absolutely loads from the celeriac. You put a little bit of lemon juice in there. I'm going to put all of it in because I need the juice of half a lemon. Here. There we are. Then I'm going to do 1 carrot because it's a huge carrot. It's very difficult with savoury recipes because they might say 2 carrots or 1 carrot. Well, when it's this size, it's the size of 2 really. So, but again, as with the Glamorgan sausage, if you want to put more carrots in, totally up to you. You can vary the amount. I'm going to grate these as well. And then they're going to go in with the salad, with the celeriac. plenty of carrots. Finally, I'm going to add some apple. So I'm not gonna, I've washed them. I'm gonna keep the skins on because it gives a nice colour. And I'm gonna grate these again. And with the celeriac again, as with the celeriac, you need to add some lemon juice, otherwise they go brown. So the apple make them nice and sweet. So one. You can use cabbage for this recipe, which is fine. It's just, as I said, I prefer the celeriac personally. And you can do so much, then you can make a cake or you can make your puree. Yeah, loads of things to do. So these are going to go in. And basically, I'll just clean this again. Okay, so the apple. Some of the skin will come off, but you still get a little bit of the colour, which is quite nice. Some of you might have a food processor. You could do this much quicker. And don't need to go to the gym if you do this. Some of the skin stays off, but just a little bit will go in, which gives it a nice colour. I've got British apples. Try not to use apples from abroad if I can. These are nice and sweet. And the last one. Oh, I've got two more. And you don't break your fingers. Always not very handy. Yeah, okay, so this goes in here. Apples go here. Seeds here. I'm just going to mix that. It's quite a bit. I think I might put a bit more lemon in. I like the sharpness really, and again it'll stop everything going brown. And then the last thing to put in is some parsley. So I'm going to put some parsley, and I'm just going to clear this up a little bit. So this are basically the Glamorgan sausages and the salad are really nice for a first course or for a lunch. I think with the salad and the Glamorgan sausages, really nice for this kind of weather. Right here. And what I've done is I buy a big bunch of parsley and I wash it all, take the stalks off, and then I put it into my food processor, use it, and then I'll freeze the rest. I'm going to put a good 2 spoonfuls of this in. And the rest will go in the freezer. I'm a big fan of the freezer, as you can see. Then I'm going to put a little bit of mayonnaise in. I'm going to try just a tablespoon, like that. A little bit of salt and pepper. Oh, actually, this is where the dressing goes in. So I've got the dressing. Try that. Mix it all together. You can do half mayonnaise, half natural yogurt. Again, depends on taste. It's not quite as creamy, but I think the natural yogurt makes it a little bit lighter. Okay, so you've got your coleslaw, well, celeriac salad. I'm going to just try it, see whether it needs more lemon Let's have a look. Okay, so I'm going to put a bit more pepper, a little bit of salt. This container is dangerous. And I'm going to put more lemon in. Because I think it just needs a little bit of sharpness. There we go. Checking I put all the ingredients in. Yeah, there we are. So that's that. A nice light salad. And I'm going to put that in the fridge as well. And I'm just going to get things ready to cook the Glamorgan sausages. So bear with me for a second. Right, let's just see if I've got any questions. Oh, right, okay, yes. Yes, it might have been quicker in a food processor. You are right. Okay, what kind of apple is best? Well, I try not to use apples that come from abroad, as in I like to kind of promote local produce. So the apples I used were British apples, but the ones that kind of, with the red skin and stuff is nice. Granny Smiths would also work as well with the green colouring. Okay, we'd love to see any pictures of the end result. Okay, we're going to get to see the end result. Okay, so I'm just going to move the, I'm going to bring my cooker, which is it's a gas hob I use for my workshops. There we are. So you should be able to see that. Okay, and I'm going to turn it on, and I'm going to put some sunflower oil in, and a little bit of butter, Welsh butter. So they say the secret to French cooking is butter, butter, and butter. I think it's the same for Welsh cooking. I'm going to bring my Glamorgan sausages out of here. I've got them here. They've been in the fridge. They haven't been in too long, but the idea is if you can leave them in for a good half an hour, they will keep their shape when you cook. And so I'm going to fry them. You can grill them, but I think frying is quite nice because you get that nice crunch. And we're just literally cooking them to get this crunch, and then you'll turn the heat down a little bit so that it cooks through. I mean, there's nothing you have to cook, but it's just nice to have the cheese melting really. Okay, that's sizzling nicely. Just turn it down a little bit. It's difficult to see with the sun. And I've got the Glamorgan sausages with the cornflakes, and then the ones with the breadcrumbs. So yeah, we're going to keep those, going to get them nice and brown on the outside. And then when they're brown, we're going to turn the heat down so the actual cheese inside will melt. There's a big thing in the paper recently about sourdough. I've used sourdough for my breadcrumbs. It nearly broke my food mixer because it's quite hard. But they're saying that real sourdough should cost about £3.50 a loaf, where the ones you get in the supermarket are around £1.50 to £2, and they have something like 15% of sourdough inside them. So you need to make sure you're buying the right stuff, because it's, as a bread, it's so much better for you. Okay, so I'm just waiting for these to crisp. I remember doing an item about different kinds of breads, and one of the guys who was making this artisan bread was saying that people who are allergic to gluten or bread or whatever, part of it is because there's so much put into bread today that if they were to have a proper bread like sourdough, then a lot of them maybe wouldn't have the allergy. Okay, so this sizzling is really nice. I'm just going to turn them over. So I do cooking workshops with, well, before COVID, Chinese students who come to Cardiff to learn English, and we do cooking workshops with them. And their faces, when I first tell them about the recipe, one, they don't eat much bread in China, they don't eat much cheese. So they see this recipe, which is primarily breadcrumbs and cheese, and they're a bit wary. Love the cooking, are always extraordinary in the sense that they never ever had to ask any questions. Their concentration skills were incredible. One demonstration and they could do them. But one group didn't really want to dip the sausages into the egg and coat them with breadcrumbs. They actually use the egg to make little omelettes and then put the sausages inside. So we call them Shanghai-style Glamorgan sausages. So I'm looking forward to seeing more Chinese students return, but for the moment it's very quiet. Okay, so just cooking these. I want them to get nice and crispy. You can freeze these, or you can make them, if you've got people coming round, make them early, and then you can just put them in the oven to heat them up. So they're nice and ready. They're really nice with chutney. And as I said, just a nice salad with them. Okay, so these getting a nice colour on them. Some people get a little bit, people who like meat are like, it's not a sausage if it hasn't got meat in it. But yeah, it's a vegetarian sausage. And lots of our Welsh recipes are a little bit misleading, as in, so Glamorgan sausage doesn't really have any meat in it. We have a dish called Tatws 5 minute, which is 5-minute potatoes, which is sliced potatoes, onions, and bacon. You cook in stock, and you actually cook it for more like 3 hours. And then Welsh rarebit. Again, people are like, what is Welsh rarebit? Posh cheese on toast. So yeah, we've got lots of interesting names for our recipes. Okay, I'm going to turn these down now because they're nice and crunchy. Leave that for a second. And I'm going to put a spoonful of coleslaw on a plate. So we'll have the end product for you. I've got some parsley. I've managed to decorate the kitchen with lots of cauliflower, not cauliflower, celeriac, etc. Here. Voila. Okey-doke. So I'm going to just these are doing nicely. I'm going to come back up here. What have we got? Okay, we're going to stand here. Okay, so these are just, so they literally take 3-4 minutes because you just want to get them crunchy and you just want to make sure that the cheese is nice and soft inside. So for those maybe who have joined a little bit late, Glamorgan sausages were made with Glamorgan cheese, which doesn't exist anymore. It was a breed of cattle in the Vale of Glamorgan, and the milk was particularly good for cheese. It was quite similar to Caerphilly cheese. Doesn't exist anymore. So the ideal cheese would be a strong cheese to give it a bit of oomph. We've got lots of lovely cheddars here in Wales. We've got Snowdonia cheddar, Black Bomber, the one I suggested, Collier's. We have 100 different cheeses in Wales, not just cow's milk. We've got goat's milk, sheep's milk, we've even got buffalo milk. And I do food tours, and I take people around Cardiff on walking tours or coach tours. And it's always fantastic just to see their reaction, especially when you have French visitors or Spanish visitors or even Italian, who are just gobsmacked when they see the range of produce that we do have. Oh, okay, so the name of the potato and bacon recipe is Tatws 5 minute, so which means 5-minute potatoes, TATWS, and then PUM. Actually, should I type it in? I'm not sure if I can get there. Where are we? Okay, I can't actually comment on this one. So Tatws, which is potatoes in Welsh, TATWS, and then PIM, PUM, PIM, which is 5, and then MUND, MUNUD. It's absolutely amazing. So you fry the red onion, you slice them very, very thinly if you're going to make a gratin. You fry them, toss them with a little bit of oil, and then, you start off with the bacon, you crisp the bacon, then you add the red onion and the potatoes, the very thinly sliced potato, cover them in the butter and the oil, and then you cover them with stock and cook it for about, it can be like up to 2 hours, and then you put a little bit of parsley and grated cheese on top, and it's lush. Okay, as we say, it was proper lush. Okay, so here we have, I put them on a, where are we? I put them onto a kitchen roll just to get them off, and I'm going to just put 2 here. This is how I would serve them. Move this out the way. It's very hot, be careful. This is my hob. And here we have the finished product. So you've got the sausages here. I've got a little bit of the coleslaw. I sprinkle a little bit of parsley on the top as well. Voila. And I said it's quite nice with a little bit of chutney. That's my lunch sorted for the rest of the week, which is fab. Okay, does anyone have any other questions? Need to get in the middle. As you can see, really simple. All the recipes that I do on my cooking workshops are very simple. They use the ideas to showcase Welsh produce if we can. I did some recently. I put a bit of chili in, because with lots of traditional recipes, you can kind of bring them into the 21st century, and they were really nice. My sons would put bacon in. They're not really vegetarian sausages then, but yeah, so there we are. I hope you've enjoyed. Thank you very much for joining me. Next time I will have a food processor. I'll have to bring it on the island. I won't take so long chopping. But there we are. If anyone's got any questions before we go, thank you very much. I'm here for a while. Yeah, it's nice of you all to join us. I think that's it, really. Okie doke. Well, thank you very much. Enjoy the cooking. Happy cooking. And so tatus. Tatws, tatus, new word, P-U-M, and then munud, M-U-N-U-D, 5-minute potatoes. I wish you all the best. Diolch yn fawr. Enjoy the sunshine.